Okay, thank you for coming to the talk today. So what I'm going to talk about is the UX revolution and why that's significant. And it's kind of like all the rage these days, people talking about UX. So I'm just going to look at what it actually is. So I'm going to look at what we mean by HCS, HCI and UX. Examples of various HCI studies, etc., that I'm involved in at the minute. And also an MSc we have hopefully upcoming in UX and HCI at MMU, and a quick look at what kind of jobs you could get in this area of HCI and UX. Now, the question is, what do we mean by human-computer interaction? Now then, some individuals know, they've got a very deep understanding. Others are quite kind of unsure. What do we mean by HCI? So there's another term that's now being used, which is UX. And what do we mean by UX? So I'll quickly go through these terminologies as they are being bandied around quite a bit, especially in industry as well. So when we talk about HCI, what we're really talking about is how people interact with computers, with interfaces, and how that interaction actually develops. What are the pros and cons of that interaction? How we can improve that interaction between that user and that, for example, that interface. But UX is more now a terminology that's been used in industry. In industry, they've come up with this term meaning user experience. It's basically how a professional work on enhancing that whole experience. So it could be, for example, using an app, using a website, etc., various products and services, and how to actually improve that interaction and to get quick feedback, quick data in order to improve, say, that particular interface. So what can you conduct a HCI UX study on? That's the question. Some people think it's just websites, just apps. But believe it or not, you could conduct a study on a chair. And the reason why, I'll show you this chair. We could actually analyse, see how does a user sit on the chair? What goes through their mind when they're interacting with their chair? What are the emotions that go through their mind? And if I put them on this chair, how would that change? How would their emotions change? Would they feel better? Would they feel like a king? Would they feel important? Would they feel more comfortable? What are those thought processes going through their mind, interacting with that, say, the chair? How do we measure that behaviour? How do we measure those emotions? So this is what HCI UX is all about, measuring, analysing human behaviour and recording that and analysing and hopefully coming up with some sort of hypothesis and understanding of that interaction between a human and that particular device they're interacting with, or even a chair. So we're really looking at user emotions and behaviour and how various designs can affect human behaviour and emotions. So it could be happiness, sadness. There's many other emotions we look at, such as frustration and anger. Why do people get angry when they're interacting maybe with an interface or with maybe a table or a door? What are those emotions going through their mind? Persuasion. How do we persuade users? There's a whole area on what's called captology, on how people can be persuaded to change their mind just based on a simple design. And why would you want to change someone's mind? Perhaps it's for their, for their own benefit, etc. And trust. How do we increase users' trust in, whatever they're interacting with? So the main aim is to put the user at the center of your software development, of your research. So the user is always involved from beginning to end. So the user is involved in initial questionnaires about what they think of a certain, for example, web page, app, piece of furniture. How do they interact with that? And around the user, we have many other areas that link to them. And one of the most important things is the human mind. Many say HCI UX should be 70% psychology. If you can't understand the human mind, how can you understand why they're behaving in a certain way? How can you interpret that behavior if you don't understand how the human mind actually functions? So a lot of the work is based on psychological studies. We look at how humans interact with each other first, what we call social psychology, then see if we can apply those social norms with the human or the user and that maybe particular interface or that piece of technology. So my work background, worked as a software engineer, worked for a number of IT companies within the UX sector. I did my PhD in Manchester University in HCI. This is where I really got involved and actually absolutely loved this area. I just found it fascinating to understand how that how users actually think, how can interpret their behavior. And now some research interests. One of the first things I started off with was creating what we call embodied conversation agents. These were talking characters I developed. They would actually talk to you and the user would type, have conversations with them. And I was looking at how you perceive them. When humans interact with each other, we form what we call stereotypes. So I was looking at, do humans stereotype when it comes to interacting with these characters? And what my studies have found, and I've done some publications, yes, we do. I have attractive and unattractive characters here. So what I was looking at, do we have what's called the attractiveness stereotype? Does that exist amongst humans? Well, it does exist amongst humans, but does it exist when we interact with these characters? And my studies found, yes, we do. We do have more, we tend to attribute more positive personality traits to attractive characters than unattractive. And we tend to do this also within the social norms when we interact with other humans. And I was also looking at how visual cues such as gender, age, attractiveness affects the interaction between the user and these characters. So unfortunately, there was a lot of interesting things. I did find a lot of interesting things. So there was a lot of abuse given to these characters based on maybe the physical appearance, but also a lot of praise for the very attractive characters. So it's very interesting to see that change in behavior just based on the physical appearance. Here they were giving advice on what's called the desert survival task. So I was looking at whether the attractive characters were more believable than the less attractive characters. And this was in a published a journal paper on this. And I found that, unfortunately, individuals can be very superficial. We can be very shallow, and we do have tend to put more positive attributes towards the attractive characters. Now, another area is robots. It's a huge, it's a growing area, and I have a little robot here called Ibo. Ibo actually can walk, it can talk, it can take pictures. So what we're looking at is how do humans interact with these characters, especially nowadays when people are, a lot of people are living on their own, there's a lot of loneliness. So some individuals, researchers are trying to see if these can be used as companions. And maybe keep those lonely individuals happy all day long. We also have this character called Now. It's a little walking, talking robot. So we conduct a number of studies in terms of how users behave and interact with these various characters. And what you're going to find is robots are going to be seen more and more within our everyday lives, such as within restaurants, libraries, etc. Another thing we're looking at, I did a study on wearable devices. This was a study in an art gallery. I was looking at how the wearable device can actually improve that interaction between you and the actual image and picture in front of you. So I'm hopefully going to be publishing some work based on their users' experience using these wearable devices in this context. Another interesting area is autonomous ships and boats. So what I've been looking at is improving the interface of various boats and ships so that they can be used autonomously, so that we can obviously, hopefully, avoid any chances of any accidents from occurring. So it's a massive area of potential research, as there is a lot of work that needs to be done in order to improve the interface, especially in the shipping industry. And we're also hoping maybe to create some 3D environments using, for example, Oculus, etc., where cadets, etc., can be trained up on the various pieces of technology within on the ships. Another big thing is autonomous vehicles. So we're looking at hopefully doing some studies on driverless cars and taxis within Manchester and seeing how users interact with these autonomous vehicles and how to improve that interaction, and hopefully in terms of safety as well. And the last thing was looking at skin quality, how we can actually define what skin quality is, and also do some research in terms of how we perceive various types of skin quality, what makes skin amazing, what do we class as not so great skin. So there's a whole host of areas one could go into. We also have an MSc course that's been developed, and the main focus is on psychology, which not a lot of other courses have really looked into. So we're hoping we may run that in the next year or so, and I think it'll be great to have many other potential UX developers out there in this field. Last thing, jobs in HCI. So there's various roles you can get into. You could be called a UX researcher, designer, UI designer, senior UX designer, UX lead. So it's a great area to get into. It's lots of fun, especially if you enjoy interacting with users. And I think it's a great way to go ahead and improve all the designs that are actually around us. Thank you very much.
Because there's a,
I think a lot of my students said
yeah, they must have uploaded those, because I have.
not really meant to.
But there's an overall women in engineering.
Yeah.
And some of those are a bit long and long-winded. Yeah. I mean, there's one. The IMS panel session I took part in. That took 3 hours. Someone's like waiting for the timing.
That's a big ages
If someone taking the edited highlights out of that. Even me who did it, I'm not going to do it.
Is this going to be highlighted?
No one's doing anything with it. And that's too much really, isn't it? So I might actually download that.
You wanted to throw
some bits out of it.
Yeah, photos and voices, just the main part.
You missed it, he asked me to fill the ball to me, Mr. Q.